Welcome to Music in the Making. We are 3 high school and junior high music teachers from West Central Illinois. Each week we will talk about our experiences in the classroom, community, and personal lives too. We're no experts by any means, but any help we can provide to our audience of music friends is why we pursue this new venture. Please welcome your hosts, Lisa Hallen, Art Martinez, and Kevin Ferry. Yeah.
Mr. Ferry.
Boing! Boing!
Well, hey, I know you don't know me, but you don't have to be a jerk.
Yeah.
I almost texted you during production tech to tell you to turn off your thing because it kept going off the other day. And then I'm glad I didn't because I don't think you were in a good mood.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Boing. During class. I'm trying to teach a class back there, and your phone was being deceptive.
So text me so it goes off again.
Yeah.
All right, what are we talking about today, Mr. Martinez?
Well, first off, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Music in the Making. If you didn't catch our little mini-sode I posted the other day, go check that out.
That was super cool.
It was cool, really.
It was really cool to see Dan again. I hadn't seen him in years, and I know I've had several text messages with him, and he was so appreciative. And you know, I don't know who else he ran into, but Nate Johnson.
He was so excited.
Yes.
Yeah, Nate. I saw Nate in the hallway earlier. I'm like, hey, Potsy's going to dot the I, and he walked out on the football field, you know, right there before you guys went on and saw him. So, and I thought the interview was really, really cool. I thought have you listened to it yet, Lisa?
Ooh, I'm outing myself. No.
Okay. Well, Mr. Martinez and I listened to it on the way home from Roseville.
Oh, okay.
But I would tell you, the impression that I got, so if you listen to it, it sounds like to me that guy has not left the classroom yet. Right?
Oh, no.
The things he was saying, like not only his memories, but, you know, I think it was a question of what advice would you give? And it's like really good stuff that if you haven't, obviously Dan still thinks about music, and music is still a part of his life, even though he's not in music education, because he was just rattling off those things as if, you know, he had just left the classroom or was still in a classroom. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, his whole topic about the, the merger of the two schools, I think that's like, I couldn't imagine what that would be like. Like, if you're a teacher and you're being told, like, you're merging schools,
right.
I couldn't imagine all the things that you're thinking about and having to think about, or, like, you're in the middle of it and they're like, oh, yeah, by the way, you start thinking about this.
I mean, you do, when you go through that, and you had made a comment like, well, this doesn't happen very often, and you being from where you're from and you being where you're from, it doesn't.
Nope.
Yes, it does down here.
Yeah.
Downstate, north of I-80 people, this stuff happens.
I am south of I-80.
Okay,
Thank
barely,
you very
like
much.
this far.
Yes.
Like this far.
Yes,
But she's
directly south.
And I've like got my finger, my pointer finger, and my thumb, about
I
2.5
touch
inches
I-80
apart.
to the north.
Okay,
Yeah.
but she still says, like, yeah, I'm from Chicago.
Yeah. So anyway, it does happen down here a lot, and I've seen different things. I loved how they did. Did I hear him right? The two band, or the Monmouth Roseville band came in zipper colors and Panther colors, and then took their shirts off and had a Monmouth Roseville Titan shirt on under. Yeah. Listen to the podcast, Lisa.
This morning, I was like, oh no, I need to listen to that because what if we talk about it and then...
Okay, sorry, listeners.
It's all right. No,
but I thought that was really cool, but that is something that happens. I know when I was at Avon, we co-opt, and for those of you that don't know what that means, is two schools come together to do extracurricular activities, right? And Avon co-opt a lot of their athletics with Bushnell Prairie City. And we had gotten to a point where I believe most of our high school stuff was, none of our junior high was, okay? We had two separate athletic teams for junior high, which was kind of weird because we're neighboring school districts, so Avon would play Bushnell in 7th and 8th grade basketball. And so those 8th graders, the following year, were teammates. They were playing together. So it's almost like in a bigger school setting that has 2 or 3 junior highs that they come into one high school.
Yeah.
But south of 80, sometimes we don't get all of that. But I remember the last game that Avon and Bushnell played against each other. Before the game started, they lined up all the kids from Bushnell and Avon. It was at Avon. They lined up all the kids. Avon kid, Bushnell kid, Avon kid, Bushnell kid, Avon kid, Bushnell kid, Avon kid, Bushnell kid. And they were in their red, white, and blue jerseys and their green and white jerseys, every other. And they said, this is the last time this will happen. Next year, we are one team. Wow. And like the place went nuts. So it's kind of cool. I mean, I thought that was really neat that Dan remembered that and was so fond about that. And,
for sure.
Some of the pieces that you guys talked about. And I love your excitement when he says, so we did this song. You're like, I love that song.
He's like, yeah, so that year for organization, we're doing 3 airs for Gloucester. I'm like, we just did that for organization, the second movement. I was like, oh, yeah, such a good piece. Yeah, so we were geeking out a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it was.
There's more to it, so check out the minisode if you haven't yet. It's pretty chock full, a little short, but I think it still was important to get out there. But we had homecoming last week, so it was kind of impossible to all of us 3 sit down because Mr. Ferry had to go yell at kids to play football, and we had to go
yell at kids to go march.
go to a football game and to go march. But honestly, I'll tell you what, the marching band sounded awesome that night.
I'm telling you what, the sound that our marching band is producing, I really, really love it. And I know that there's that debate between, difficulty level of music versus let's get a good sound, right?
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, I'm trying to tell them, as often as I can, like you are on the right track. You are doing the right things. You are doing all of the things that we're expecting you to do in order to be prepared for these marching band competitions. And it's like, I don't know. I'm hoping that I'm praising them enough that they are starting to respond to that. And again, this is an adjustment for me coming in year 2, because the first year was definitely awkward for everyone. But I mean, these are the things that can happen. Like, you can have abrupt changes in life, but it's a matter of how you adjust to them and how you just go with the flow, but also try to understand where someone's coming from and take something away. For example, Rowan was came in this last year. He was super scared because he's like, I haven't played my instrument in a long time. And look at that kid go. I mean, he is playing like a monster. He is like the lifeblood of the band right now. He's constantly getting people amped up. And on top of that, he is in a way taking on kind of co-section leader responsibilities, when our section leader isn't able to be there. And that's what we want. We don't want just to be just because you might have the title of section leader doesn't mean that you can't rely on others to help you out as well. The thing about marching band is that it is a full group. It is and it is 100% or nothing at all.
No one's on the bench.
Yeah, exactly. We are all in on this, and it's everyone's got to pull their weight. In concert band, it's easy to kind of hide because you're sitting there and maybe someone else is playing your part, maybe. But when you're marching around the field, you're the only one out there. And so shout out to Rowan.
Shout out to Rowan.
Our number one fan, as he likes to say.
Yes.
And but honestly, everyone in the band, I really am proud of each of them, and they are really stepping up. And I'm so glad that something as simple as speeding up the music is taking an effective thing. So it's pretty neat.
As far as you were talking about, that last year and dealing with the sudden changes and stuff, and this is something that I hope I'm saying this stuff, I probably should tell our students, I am just so proud of how they dealt with that. I was a switch in director is can go a lot of different ways, and our students were a little hesitant and then just went with it. And because again, I gush to whenever other teacher friends ask how it's going, I'm oh, we're in a transition. Our students are just going for it, and I just am so appreciative of that, because not all transitions go that way. So I just want to give a shout out to our students for that, because that takes a level of maturity, being okay, this is our band program, and now this new bad cop is here, and are we gonna listen to him or are we gonna be mad?
Yeah, exactly.
And they went for it. Right. So I really admire that about how last year went, because I was very, very, very nervous back in July about how that would go, and our just Montefiore little kids just
Yeah,
built
they're
different,
great.
as they say.
And I will admit this live that when I was teaching in my other job, one of the things that I was always told, like almost daily, especially for my first year, it's like, it's okay to give a compliment. Like, we as young teachers, we get so caught up on...
It's not a young teacher thing.
It's
not a young teacher
it's
thing.
so hard to give a compliment. And it's not so much that you're ignoring the good things. It's just you're so focused on the things that are going bad that you don't want to forget that they're going bad.
Because we want to make them better, because we know they can be.
Right, exactly. So like we're like, maybe if I address the bad thing first, that'd be good. But you got to follow it up with something good. And I will admit, I think being in this environment, this new school district, I have started to do more of that, be more conscientious of that, and do more of that. And if I'm not doing that enough, you can email us at. But anyway, but like I really feel like this group, especially this marching band this year, has been doing so well compared to last year. And again, last year was a whole different scenario, but they're doing so well sound-wise. They're doing the movements. They're having the fun that they should be having, and we're still getting the work done. And that's what needs to happen. But I really am trying to really praise those people who are doing it, because they're not doing it for themselves. They're doing it for everybody else too. It's not just them. They're doing it for everyone else. So
I think to address the topic of complimenting or positive reinforcement or what have you, right? Not just a young teacher thing for sure. And I think another part of that, and I think maybe your personality and my personality when it comes to this might be the same. And not to exclude you, but I think you have a much more positive personality than Art and I do.
Sure.
And that's a compliment. Absolutely a compliment. So when I say this, understand I'm not, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not talking, it's a bad phrase, but I'm not talking bad about you at all.
No, you're good.
I think, because not that you need this particularly, I think, at least for me, I won't speak for Art, but for me, I don't expect or need my boss or bosses to say good job. I don't need that. I don't need that reassurance. I don't know why. I've never expected it. Maybe because when I first started, I never got it. I never.
Right.
So I feel like I know what the product is supposed to be. I know what it's supposed to sound like. I know what it's supposed to look like. And they're not the expert. They have no idea. Oh, how many kids do you have? Or, are we doing this, and this? Then you're doing a great job.
Yes.
Well, but you don't really know if we're doing a great job or not.
Right.
So is that compliment? Does it really mean anything?
Yes.
And every time on an evaluation, post-op observation or whatever, like, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Which I absolutely hate those questions, but for 26 years now, I need to give more positive reinforcement. I need to give compliments. My biggest fear is once you compliment, human nature is to say, oh, well, that's good enough.
yes.
Hey, man, that sounded really good. Good job. Now can we do this with it? Oh, no.
Right.
No, he just said it was good.
Right.
We're good.
Yeah.
And so I think, I know that is a huge problem. I don't know if it's a problem. It's a huge part of my teaching that I tend to neglect. I try.
Yeah.
But we've got, not only, focusing on the critiquing and making things better that are bad.
Yeah.
But just all of the other things that you have to worry about in teaching in a school today. And this might get a little, we might end up editing this out. I don't know. I'm not going to swear, I promise. But not only are we dealing with the notes and the rhythms and the articulation and the dynamics and all of that stuff, but we're also dealing with teenage kids living in this day and age who it is okay. And I can think, because I'm older than you guys enough to say there was a time where you as a teenage kid just did what you're told you acted the way you were supposed to act, you thought the way you were told to think,
Yes.
all of these things.
Yep.
And so not only are we dealing with all of the musical stuff, we're dealing with homosexuality, we're dealing with transgender, we're at Monmouth Roseville for sure, we're dealing with not racial issues, but we're dealing with different ethnicities, different cultures, different languages.
Yes.
So there's all of these things. Like, when do you have time
Yeah.
to just think about teaching
Yep.
and getting those kids where they need to be without offending anybody,
Yeah.
without making anybody upset? And I hope I didn't take this to a place that you both are like, let's,
No.
because I think that's something, and I'm sure that there are other schools that they're going through this stuff and how to handle it and how to deal with it. And I know it at IMEC last year and the year before, these were huge issues that
Right.
were presented at IMEC and how to deal
Right.
with these situations. And I don't like when people preach at me about these topics,
Right.
but I've said a lot. If you want to teach a diverse population, come here. If you want to learn how to teach a diverse population, come here, because we run the gamut. And I'm sure we're missing some. I get it. I don't mean we have every type of student here,
Right.
but we've got a lot.
Yeah.
And so that's something else
Yeah.
that we have to deal
Well,
with.
this would be categorized as social emotional learning, right? Am I wrong?
Like
we're, because
teaching
it's
the
like
other thing.
right. Well, it's like it's like we're teaching them not just the music. We're teaching them like how to be a decent human
How to be
being.
how to be
You
a
know?
good person.
But I'll tell you what, like I'm with you on the same page as far as like that day and age, right? But I mean, because I lived that. Like my father was state police officer, so
Popo.
like could you imagine me doing anything wrong and then like not being in the back of my own dad's like cop car? Like can't imagine. So there was that. My mom also worked. She was like the Dina of like this. She was a
She
worked
ran the school district.
Right, basically, yeah. So she was like basically that for like 2 or 3 different schools. So like she knew in and out. So not only was she at my
You
high
couldn't
school,
get away with anything.
but like she was at my high school just before I got to high school. So she knew everybody. And they all knew me. Oh yeah. So she knew what she was doing. So I couldn't get away with anything like at all.
Yeah.
And so I definitely see that. And being in the teacher aspect of that now, it's like trying to teach these things and be like, look, I understand it's a different day and age, but like your job is to be a student and you're student first. You know, after anything after that, like, I mean, you know, we can try to work it through, but understand like our job is to teach music. You know, we want to help you in every other way after that. But I think it's important for people who are like non-teachers to just realize like, this is the world of school it is now. It's no longer like I go in and teach my course subject and then that's it. It's like I'm trying to help these kids along. But I'll tell you what, I probably wouldn't trade it for any other job though, because I think I'm just getting to learn about these students so much more being into this kind of job because of all that diversity, because of those cultures, because of those languages, because of this, because of that. And it's making me just more aware of like what also makes this nation great is like having this diversity. I mean, like you wouldn't learn these things, you know, if in certain parts of the state, because it's not that it's a problem, but because it's just something that is not as, you know, relevant and whatnot. So just really important to just keep that in mind. So, Mr. Ewing, how are you?
Is Emma in here?
Which she is not. She went to the art room to work on curriculum. Say hi, Mr. Ewing.
Hi, Mr. Ewing. Who are you talking about?
The
world that is
Music
music
and
and
Marketing
marketing. Yeah.
podcast.
No, you're good.
No,
you're good.
you're all good. We're just talking about, you might want to throw 2 cents in. This is our principal, Mr. Jeff Ewing. We were just
Come on
talking
over.
about
Come on.
teaching.
Step in the booth.
Teaching, we kind of got off on a little tangent here, but talking about teaching. So we teach music, but we also teach all these other things, and not because we're talking about how at least Art and I have said we're not good on positive reinforcement. We're not good on complimenting because we're so focused on correcting the wrong.
Sure.
But then we also have to deal with at Monmouth Roseville the many diversities that we have.
Over
between
25 languages.
Yeah.
between the ethnicity and cultural, between homosexuality, between transgender, between social economic, all of the things that we deal with. And I feel like it's an awesome place to teach because of that. And Art was just talking about his development as a teacher, knowing these kids after going into his second year, that it's really opened his eyes to a completely...
Absolutely. I went to a super vanilla high school.
Yeah,
I mean, it was vanilla.
you and I are on the same page.
Vanilla as can be. And great. I've got great friends from there, but what these kids can experience here is just unreal. And then if they really become friends and go to, a Hispanic house for dinner and get some good Mexican food, it's way different.
Yeah, because our tacos
yeah. No, it's way different.
and Mexican tacos, they're not tacos. I mean, our
Brahita-
tacos are not tacos.
Our secretary Brahita brought some in last week, and Brady's like, I was out at soccer, and Brady's like, hey, he was doing volleyball. He's like, hey, if you get a chance to get back here, you got to try these. He sent me a picture of them. I came back and I ate 2, and I didn't know they're keto friendly. They were. She told me that yesterday, the day after, but I was like, so I would have eaten like 7 of them. They were amazing. But yeah, it's so diverse here. It's so interesting, and I think what 400, our population in EL has gone up 485% in the last 8 years, something like that.
Incredible.
It's jumped that much.
I can, just a quick little aside from that, I can tell you, we moved over here in 2009. And in the spring of 2009, we came over for Kendall. Our daughter Kendall was going to be in kindergarten that year. So we go over to Willits, and we're talking to, I don't know if you remember Angela Wenger. She was the principal at the time at Willits. And so we go in, and we're doing the kindergarten screening, and then we're kind of taking a tour. And this is 2009, 15 years ago, 15 school years ago, right? They said, here's our kindergarten class, here's a kindergarten class, here's a kindergarten class. Here is our ESL kindergarten class. And that was the only ESL class we had.
In the district.
In the district.
Yep.
And my question was, so do the other kids then, do the English speakers learn Spanish? No, we want the Spanish speakers to speak English immediately. And by the time they're done with kindergarten, they know English. Boy, how dumb were we in 2009, and then I can remember, as the years progressed, 3rd grade ESL teacher, 4th grade ESL teacher, 5th, we're posting all of these jobs to get all of these ESL, and it's just kind of nuts. And so we got you here. What's that like from the administrative level?
Well, it's really cool to see. When I was principal at Harding for 4 years.
One of our grade schools, by the way.
One of our grade schools. I was a principal there for 4 years, and we had Dave Greenleaf had his right-hand man in Afghanistan. He figured out a way to get him and his family over here. His daughter came in 2nd grade, had never had any formal education at all. Wow. So she came in January of that year, and in March, Brenda Secor had her reading. It was insane. I would walk around with her, and I'd be like, okay, what color is that? She said, that's orange. She learned colors, she learned language, and she had a reading. Of course, Brenda's very, very gifted teacher. Spent a lot of time with her, but they're sponges. They're absolutely sponges at that age, and she just picked up on it. And that's one of the coolest stories I can share from this that I've had, in my time at MR.
That's awesome.
What other questions do you have? Is that it? You said something.
We got a billion
What's it
questions.
like
for you.
teaching? Or
What's it like on the administrative side of that?
Well, and my first year here, I thought it was really strange. I walked into the LMC before it, it looked a lot different then, but walked in there and we're doing registration, and I see this little guy. He's 7, I bet, maybe 8. He is translating, registering himself with his dad, and I'm like, whoa, this is not Sherrard, or Mercer. This is not.
You can take the boy out of Warren.
This is not where I came. I wasn't used to this. This guy was translating for his dad, and now we have all translators. We have translators in. We send everything out in Spanish. Like if we have to send everything in Spanish as well, and now we're sending a lot of stuff out in French.
Yeah.
So
as far as the administrative side, if you get an applicant, let's say for a math position, and they've got
yes, hired right now.
So our audience is basically music teachers or music students. So just to reinforce, you've got a math position open. if that person can say on their resume, maybe I'm not fluent, whatever the next level under fluency is.
Yeah.
If I can speak Spanish, like that puts them to the top of the list, doesn't it?
Yeah, yes and no. It would sure help out. Yeah, like you said, we try to teach English. I try to teach a lot of things in English. Math is a little different, just because of the way it is. But it would be great to have like a French-speaking math teacher. They can relate these terms in French and then go from there. We don't even have English math teachers, let alone French, Chen, Burmese, anything else. I mean, would we hire them? Yeah, we'd hire them second. And the funny, so last week we were on a call with Marie 2 weeks ago, one of our curriculum director, or helper, assistant, whatever you call her. And she was from New York, and one of the ladies with her said, well, can't you guys just hire, we told her about the language, can't you just hire paraprofessionals that speak these languages? Like, yeah, we would if they were here in a second. We would hire as many paraprofessionals as we could, because we could twist Mr. Fletcher's arm and make that happen, but they're just not out here. You know, this is a small town, and one thing we've done too, one year is we went out to farmland, Smithfield, our pork processing plant, where a lot of our EF families work, and we did an on-site registration there, just to kind of help them out there.
Oh, that's fantastic. I didn't even know you did that.
We did it between shifts.
Between shifts?
We had a 4-hour spot out there, so it was like 2 hours. They come in 2 hours before their shift started, or
2 hours after.
2 hours after. So we kind of did that. So these are some of the things we tried to do to help them out, and it went okay. We really should have wanted more. I got in trouble from Dean and Neil because I asked for a tour, and they took me on a 2-hour-long tour because the guy did not want to go back to doing what he was doing. And it was really cool.
So you left Dina hanging.
Yeah. So Dean's like, where have you been? I said, I'm sorry. I said, I don't.
I've been in the break room just hanging out with the guys.
To go back, but I saw everything from the barn out there all the way to the where they pack the bacon, and it's crazy. And they had like 140 some people just as subs that got to come in, you know, because they're on a point system out there. If they get so many points, they get fired. But it was crazy to see. If you ever get a chance to go see it.
That's cool.
That's
that's what attracts a lot of families. There's big signing bonuses for those. So
Yeah.
they'll bounce to Beardstown or Columbus Junction because they're $5,000 signing bonus. If you
Yeah.
Wow.
I tell you, I just, you know, from my kids' perspective, coming from, as you termed it, vanilla, you know, I've said it before at Avon, where I was teaching before and raising our family, we had 2 Hispanic kids, and their names were Katie and Phil Lopez. Mm-hmm. And so they were, mom was white, dad was Hispanic, but that's all my kids were growing up knowing. Mm-hmm. And here, it's just such a different world, and it's awesome that my kids are able to be raised in that. And I'm not discounting that. I'm not saying that all kids from small white towns are racist kids. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is just the exposure that our kids at Monmouth Roseville get to so many different cultures, and their tolerance level of different ideas. And I think the cultural and ethnic diversity helps with the other diversities that we have. People are more accepting, it's one of the things that makes this place really great to teach.
Yeah, and you sure hope that's the effect you get from these kids just having class together. They respect each other and respect their cultures. Mm-hmm. You hope that happens.
Exactly.
Oh,
we got the girl
Bye from Mr. Ewing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, can we talk about during that same call, the girl bye in the staff meeting the other day?
What? Wait, what?
That was like hilarious, and neither of you remember it? Okay, so we were having this Zoom call with that curriculum, the same Marie that he was just talking about, and someone was talking about pronouncing things and girl being weird with the vowels.
Oh, it's supposed to be G-U-R-L?
Yeah, girl, and she was like, yeah, it should be G-U-R-L, and like the 3 of us go, girl, bye, and the whole room just erupts.
Luckily, we were muted, so they didn't hear us laughing. They're like, what's so funny about G-U-R-L? Oh, my gosh. Well, I'll tell you what. This is actually, I think, a good topic to talk about.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with what we were going to talk about today, but
that's okay.
Yeah, what the hell? We'll talk about it. I'm done. No, I said the whole this might be edited out thing. I won't swear then.
That makes no sense.
Over.
That's when
That
you
topic
should.
is over. So
we're in the wrap-up session.
I apologize, Miss Helen.
It's okay, Mr. Ferry.
I got to go to
I
football
forgive.
practice.
Anyway,
I am almost late for football practice. I need a ride to football practice.
okay. I can get you.
Pretty pleased with sugar on top because practice starts in 5 minutes.
That's a really weird time to start practice.
Well, it starts
32?
in 7 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That
That's
makes
still
more sense.
34.
8 minutes. Shut up. I can't do that.
I was going to say, it's still closer.
All right. If you have any questions, comments, there are absolutely no concerns. Please let us know. Please email us at
Music in the Making.
You're such a jerk.
Oh,
You're
sorry.
such a
I was
jerk.
literally just thinking, wow, people are gonna yell at you guys.
I know, I was
for
gonna
not
give her more
talking.
minutes.
So
I
what
was-
just happened is Mr. Ferry set me up and he pointed at me and Art just jumped in.
Because it's my thing.
I think it's called stepping
Jump.
on.
Yeah,
I think it's called stepping
on my
on her
toes.
lines. Stepping on her lines.
Is that your
Right.
thing?
Yes, apparently.
Rude.
Okay, let's try
So,
this again.
shut up, Art. If you have any questions or comments, please email us at,
musicinthemakingpod@gmail.com.
and you can also find us on
Facebook, Music in the Making Podcast, or Instagram at Music in the Making Pod.
and we are able to be listened to on
Spotify, Apple Music, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music as well.
And YouTube?
And
YouTube.
we have a YouTube
YouTube.
channel
Tube
also.
of Views.
Music in the Making Podcast. And to find us faster, put Music in the Making Podcast in quotes.
Yeah.
To take it instantly to our page. We
That's right.
upload all our episodes there. So if
Like,
you're-
subscribe,
all that good
smash.
stuff. The button.
All right.
Anyway.
Ding,
all right.
ding, 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 ding.
Girl.